Hey everyone, this is Arnav. Welcome to the channel. Today I have with me Richard, who is working with Balance. And Balance is trying to build an open source bank that anyone can use or improve upon. And today we are going to talk to him more about his project. So, hi Richard, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Excited to be on the show.
Awesome, awesome. So, can you give a brief background and how did you actually get involved in the crypto space and start with Balance?
Yeah, so I like to say I stumbled across the rabbit hole for 3 months and then went fully back down it in the bull run of 2017. So I bumped into Gavin Wood in 2014, and I'd heard Vitalik on a podcast. I had bought a little bit of Bitcoin before. I heard Vitalik come on the podcast, and he was talking like, "I want to build a decentralized computer for the world." I thought, this guy sounds absolutely nuts. So I bumped into Gavin and then Vitalik crashed on in my house for a night, and I learned a lot about the project, and I just helped out with some design work in the early days. So mocking up the network monitor, the wallet, Adapt Store, chat client, and kind of a few things that have ended up coming to fruition over the last few years. I then ran out of money totally. I was in massive amounts of credit card debt from investing in loads of crazy stuff, some of which is paid off now, which has been good. But at the time, I was broke, so I left the community to just fund my life and to pay off my debts. And then a couple of years later, the foundation got in touch with me and were very kind to the ETH that they owed me. And I kind of looked into Ethereum and didn't really see any use cases again. But when the price went up, kind of 3,000 really ought to have a look as to why what's happening. And what I found was that there had been a slight increase in the value of the protocol and a huge in the price, and really Balance is a project that tries to kind of bring those two closer together. We want to make it easier for people to actually use Ethereum so that the value can increase, not just the price.
So, what is Balance in brief? And can you like walk through the website, the web wallet that you have?
Absolutely. So Balance is a company that is making user interfaces for protocols. So to begin with, we have released a product called Manager 2 months ago. A Manager is a tool to manage your existing wallets. So this could be a software wallet like MetaMask or a hardware wallet like Trezor, Ledger, and soon KeepKey. And so you can think of it like a kind of web-based tool to interact with wallets. We drew like a lot of inspiration from the team who built the original MyEther wallet and now MyCrypto. And we just have a slightly different take of the user interface, which I'd be very happy to show you. So I'll just walk you through Manager and start sharing my screen.
Awesome.
So Manager is live, and you can use it today. So let me just cruise through this now. So to log in, you can just go to balance.io, and you can see the website here. You go to Manager, you can see the three main options we offer right now. So I'm just going to connect to MetaMask, and it's the same kind of login. Areas that we've focused on is trying to provide a really easy overview of the tokens that you have already stored in your wallet. And so we will add the ability to add custom tokens, but right now we use a variety of data sources to try and surface all of the good tokens you have and then hide all of the airdrops that are of very minimal value. We kind of provide full transaction history as well, so you can dive into individual transactions and kind of get a feel for some of the important information, pop out to Etherscan or Explorer. And also just an overview of your non-fungible tokens. For now, we've decided to call them unique tokens. We think this is kind of a better term to describe the broad category, and non-fungibles is like the technical term. We feel like unique tokens or collectibles is a more interesting way of surfacing that. A product that looks relatively simple but actually required an enormous amount of engineering work is Exchange. Right now it's just powered by Shapeshift, and so it gives you the ability to kind of exchange one asset for another. And we really kind of tried to abstract away all of the things like order books and graphs and all of these things that regular folks don't want to use. They just want to kind of understand what they have, what they can buy, how much it'll cost in that token, and what it'll cost in their native currency. So you could see here, if I wanted to buy some tokens, I could do this just like $100 of Aragon tokens. You can see all the exchange fees are really open and transparent. The transaction fees are really open, and everything is like nice and simple. So yeah, we're really optimistic that these kinds of products, as they store more assets, will be extremely useful. And yeah, of course, we have things like sending built right in, and this is one of these interfaces that seems obvious in retrospect, but I feel like require like a lot of work to get here. In particular, we're proud of the fact that we kind of abstracted away gas in a way that a lot of people seem to understand. Is here are the trade-offs. If you want a slow transaction, it's going to cost not much money. If you want a fast transaction, it'll cost you a fair chunk of change. So yeah, at every step of the way, really just trying to continue the work that I started 4 years ago with an amazing team of people who are trying to make Ethereum a little bit more user-friendly. So yeah, that's an overview of Manager, and happy to talk about our other products and what we're planning to build in the future.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, I think let's talk about. I was just reading about your post that you posted about what DAB. So can you explain that as well, and we'll go down to other things as well that you're trying to build.
Yeah, one of the big realizations I've had in the last 3 months is we're not trying to build a better Ethereum wallet. That's really a necessary product that has to exist for us to get to where we want to go. And I didn't really have a clear, concise pitch for where it is I wanted to go. I knew kind of roughly at a high level what it was. And it's kind of coming down to this huge realization that what happened in the last year is that every single function of a bank, whether it's the ledger, the ability to send money or receive money, the ability to describe debt, the ability to kind of have interest-bearing accounts, the ability to have any form of insurance, all of these primitives, these like core functions of banks, are now becoming smart contracts built by amazing teams. So, for example, Dharma is building a debt protocol, and there are other people building interest-bearing accounts as sets of smart contracts. And so, if you can imagine zooming out on the world and looking down, you think about all the banks that recreate these pieces of software. They all build a ledger, they all build a debt system, they all do sending and receiving, and like all of them have software engineers doing the same thing. And this just got collapsed into a set of smart contracts in the last year. And of course, these things are incredibly brittle. They could not support trillions of dollars of transactions. They're really hard to use, and it's super early days. But that is what shifted for me in the last year. Because ever since Ethereum began, I've been asking myself, like, what would be the use of a smart contract? And I figured that bringing a set of these smart contracts together into a unified, simple interface would effectively allow you to create what I call a distributed autonomous bank. And so that is to say, a tool where basically it happens running on Ethereum, but it will give you all of the functions of your bank today. So the ability to securely store your money in DAI, the ability to send it and receive it in the same way you do with the normal Ethereum wallets, the ability to take out a loan and process a credit score against your Bloom credit score, the ability to exchange one asset from another using 0x, the ability to earn interest of things like One Protocol or compound finance. There's just like every single function will become a set of specs, and somebody will wrap all of those things together. And so my belief is that we are transitioning from closed source banking, which has kind of dominated banking so far. And it's not a revolution, it's just like an evolution of how we do software. We're spending a lot of time researching the history of Linux because it's fascinating to see how like Linux recreated the kernel in open source software, and that changed the world, really. It allowed us to use our computers without paying a gatekeeper. And my belief is that if Balance can create a bank in open source software, we could have a similar impact on the financial industry where anybody can fork our software and run their own personal bank, or they can use Balance.io and benefit from our customer support and our kind of continued investment in the project. So this is like my grand kind of unified theory from going from pitching Balance to better Ethereum wallet, which nobody really cared about and nobody really understood, to open source bank. And that 3-word pitch just lands in people's brains so much better and correctly captures the scale of our ambition as an organization. And yeah, I'm pretty excited about this new direction, and see what happens.
Okay, awesome, awesome. So, what's the importance of like having an open source bank? Is it like better security and more innovation in open source? Why do we need an open source bank?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are so many parallels to Linux, right? It's easy to forget that Linux got absolutely crushed at the user interface layer. Like they did not win the consumer interface battle with Microsoft. They lost that, and it was basically obscure and kind of esoteric for quite some time. But then they snuck up on Microsoft with the internet, where there are all these people kind of hanging out on the internet, running servers, wanting to play things around. And then Apache became the killer app. You know, Apache was like Apache, like the trifecta of software, just changed the world. I mean, and Microsoft lost. And when you actually look at the history, it's so easy to forget that literally Microsoft was trying to change the HTTP to own like the internet. They wished to control and centralize the internet properly. And so it wasn't a foregone conclusion that we got this incredible, flexible, decentralized network that we all are using and talking on now. It was a result of an enormous amount of effort. And so with Bitcoin, we got the ability to digitize a scarce asset, and we all know the story. Essentially, that finally the blockchain allowed us to describe value and create something that's digital and scarce. With Ethereum, we got the ability to do digital contracts. You know, simple contracts that don't process that much. In my opinion, Ethereum is not a great place to write software. It's a wonderful place to write simple token contracts or debt contracts or things like that. And so the combination of a scarce asset and a provably enforceable contract set is a set of building blocks that just needs to be binded together into a open source banking experience. And the reasons that open source over time end up being better are number one, it benefited from enormous input from the security community. We have had people who have just strolled through our code and pointed out things that you know, while definitely not critical or fake, are wonderful that they gave us this advice. And also, I think it is an incredibly great aspect that if you don't like the way Linux distribution is set up, you can go and change it. And the only rule is you've got to feed that code back to the system if you make improvements. And that is why Linux is so powerful, is that no company has a monopoly on the source code. They only have a monopoly on you and your customer support. So the incentives are for an open source bank to look after their customers extremely well, because there's another competitor right there with the same software. So you can see how Microsoft wants to drive support costs down for their software because they have a monopoly on the code and you're locked in. Whereas Red Hat wants to drive support costs, or they want to drive the costs down, but they see it as an investment in marketing. They see it as an investment in customer satisfaction, customer success, and all of these things. And so I believe that Balance will be successful insofar as it creates an open source bank that many people are running, and there is a distribution of Balance running somewhere else. And maybe someone in India sets up a Balance India, or they brand it themselves. And they look after customers really well. And if they don't, people will migrate to balance.io. So it's about creating competition by reducing the barrier to entry to start a bank. If you want to interact with the USD protocol or the GBP protocol or the EUR protocol, you've got to spend at least $50 million minimum, and ideally $1 billion to get from zero to profitability. We essentially built a simple banking interface with less than $1 million, and I think that's fascinating and a fundamental shift that like I only fully appreciated in the last few months.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so, what's like the current state about the wallets? Like we have MyCrypto, MyEther wallet, and do you plan to like support other coins as well, like Bitcoin, Zcash, all these other cryptos as well?
Yeah. So two questions there. We view wallets as products that control private keys, and we do not yet have a wallet. We are working on our own wallet, which I'm very happy to show you. You can actually get a preview on our website. So this is kind of one of the mock-ups. And so we are working on a mobile wallet that we are really happy with the direction of. We think that the current state of mobile wallets is very interesting, and there are some really great projects like Trust and IM Token. In particular, I'm very happy with Trust, and that's the one I use day to day because it is open source, and I can kind of go and see how it functions. And I think that Victor is a phenomenal entrepreneur and the person who runs the project. And I'm very impressed with the execution of IM Token. They're outgrowing like a weed in Asia. So we think that the wallet space is super interesting, and there's lots of innovation that's going to come there. One aspect a project that we kind of kickstarted that's now totally separate to Balance is something called Wallet Connect. And Wallet Connect is recreating the user experience of WhatsApp for the web or WeChat for the web, and providing QR code login for dApps. And so what this means is that you can log into your web-based wallet using your mobile app. So if you just check this out here, you can see our prototype, like scan your wallet on the phone.
Yeah. Can you share your screen?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm super sorry. I forgot that I wasn't doing that. So let me just give an overview again. Right, here we go. So if we just open this one up, yeah, you can see this demo, and if you go to walletconnect.org, you can check this out. Yeah, so here you go. So this is Wallet Connect. So this is a really nice user experience, and it's one that people in the East are particularly familiar with, logging in with QR codes. Yeah. We want to recreate that for Balance. I'll give you a sneak preview of Wallet, our mobile wallet that we just been working on. You can see here we're making a lot of progress on having like a really simple user interface, but you can kind of send money and connect with Wallet Connect and get an overview of your spending. So walletconnect.org is the project there, and we view it almost like Bluetooth for crypto, where we help wallets and apps talk to each other. So we think the space is really interesting, but a wallet is just a tiny piece of what needs to get built. And we want to do a great job there and make sure it's incredibly secure and all open source, so if anyone wants to prove it, if they can. But we've got a long way to go, and yeah, working hard on that.
Yeah. And I think like the interface space as a whole, the people who will build like the interface that gain mass adoption, that is a very big business to get into. And like I think we can talk more about your business model and how you are planning to make money, but I think usually it's through like the cuts that you can take from the transactions that are happening through your interface or something like that, isn't it?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So our plan is to allow people to kind of do all the regular functions of banking for free, storing your money, sending and receiving. Those things are all free in all wallets. But if you take a loan out using Balance and you want to kind of have it originated from us, and you wish to interact with our customer support, and you wish to kind of use our interface to manage that loan, there will be a fee to originate the loan with Balance. If you don't like the fee, you're welcome to fork the code and initiate the loan yourself, and manage all of that yourself in the command line and kind of settle that up. And that you won't benefit from our customer support. And so we plan to take a cut there. Also, we've just launched the exchange product, which I demoed earlier. And every time you make an exchange, there is a small fee, which we explain, and so we're taking revenue there. Similarly, if you store your savings with us and you initiate your savings contract with Balance, we'll be getting a cut of that. And at every step, we'll be incredibly transparent, both about what it costs, and then if you can dive into it, why we charge this. And at any time, you can do it all for free on your own laptop, run the code yourself. But we think that we're going to provide such great customer support and such a great service at Balance.io that we think the vast majority of people are actually willing to pay for a service knowing that they're going to have somebody there at the other end of the line.
And like, can you share some numbers as well, like how many people are using it, and like how much, how many are using the exchange service, and what exactly is that they are using?
Sure. So we actually do not track any activity in the app now. We want to think incredibly carefully about how we add analytics. I never want to have data that can be subpoenaed. I really don't wish to know who my customers are. I do want to track aggregate data correctly, but we are just a team of 3 right now. So we kind of have to prioritize at all times. We're moving incredibly fast given how small we are. We're shipping a lot of software with very few people. We also benefit enormously from the set of open source contributors, but unfortunately, I don't have any data to share because we don't report on it. We do use Google Analytics on our marketing website, and traffic has been growing 10% every 2 weeks. So that's a really solid growth rate. We're very excited by the response. But yeah, I can't speak to precise numbers because I don't have them. I actually follow the reviews we get on Twitter much more closely than any kind of metrics right now. The most important thing to me is that a small set of people massively love the product, and that, I think, while we can quantify it particularly, it's not that interesting to me.
Got it. So can we talk a bit about so there are decentralized applications like Peepit, which is something like a decentralized Twitter, and people are building these apps, dApps, and their value proposition is our smart contract code is open source, and you can build your own front end if you don't like what the policies that we are integrating. So how feasible do you think that it is for a new person to just fork the code and start building a competitor, maybe to say Balance or all these other applications as well?
Well, I think it's not that easy, right? Because this is very early days, and while you can fork the code, you can't fork the understanding. There's a lot of thinking that went into the code. There's a lot of reasoning that went into the code. There's a lot of mistakes in the code. There's a lot of rushed, half-finished things in the code. And so I would not describe, any project even close to a 1.0 in the sense that, you want to fork Balance, you are going to have to work incredibly hard to understand why we did what we did. And you will probably find lots of kind of architectural mistakes that we're going to have to kind of pay down as technical debt. So I don't think it's feasible now, but I do think it is feasible for a motivated team. But the important thing is that it will become feasible. I will call Balance a 1.0 when absolutely any financial institution in the world can just give up on their existing financial software, or if they wish to launch a crypto-based bank, they can go, all right, we can either get this enterprise solution from our old provider, or we can fork Balance for free. That's when I think that we will have succeeded, when there is a traditional financial institution forking our code and contributing back to it. So I would say it's possible right now, but it's not easy, and it's not kind of cheap or easily feasible for anyone. But the whole point is that if you are motivated, you can do it. And we're only a team of 3, so we're not in, we would love it actually if a team with more resources would start contributing to the code. That would be fantastic. So yeah, that's my rough overview, I would say.
Okay. And just for the final thoughts, what's your future roadmap, and where do you see that the whole wallet space is headed in general?
The most important piece for me is that as a community, we come together and invest an absolutely enormous amount of capital in a password reset protocol. I think it's the most important project that needs to happen and exist in the next 5 years. If we do not create a password reset protocol, all of this crypto is going back into custodians, and the whole project is basically pointless to me at that point. The fact that Coinbase owns 10% of all Bitcoin is a testament to how important the ability to reset one's password and identify yourself to a company is. And my belief is that the ability to reset one's password and identify yourself to a network will be possible in the next 5 years. A combination of phenomenal improvements in hardware with things like Face ID point to a world in which Face ID and machine learning point to a world in which identifying yourself to a network is going to be possible. And for the mistakes that is made, we will ensure those. So if we can get to a world in the next 5 years where you don't know that this password reset is running on a protocol, but it is, and if a Balance as a company disappears, you can still reset your password and get back into your funds. I think that would be the greatest contribution that Balance could make to bending the iron bar of usability and security together. Basically, everyone assumes that these things always have to be diametrically opposed, where things have to be either usable or secure. And my gut feel is, and my actually strong belief is that for accounts with relatively minimal assets, so say $10,000 of cash and a bunch of debt, which is what most people kind of have if they're, most people are worth less than zero. So, we're trying to secure people who have assets of less than six figures. I believe that securing that on a protocol and allowing people to reset their password is going to become possible. And I hope that as a community, people start to recognize that. And if whether it's Balance or another project that helps get that done, we're really interested in what the teams at Casa and Tenzorum are doing. I think that, yeah, basically, if that isn't done, it's all going back into banks and we failed.
Yeah, I think I just want to add one question, and that is like, what's the current status of that? Like, we'll have teams working on like Bitcoin and Ethereum. I think Gnosis is also working there.
Yeah, I want to be super clear that the thought and idea came from Stefan from Gnosis, and it keeps bugging me. Like, once he explained the idea that we could do a key recovery network, not just a key recovery company, for me that was it was this light bulb moment. And I would absolutely love to raise a huge amount of capital and work with Gnosis to get that done, because that for me is a project worth hiring, say, 100 phenomenal researchers and putting them in the room, because it would feel to me like either we're going to like get the password protocol correct or we're not. Like, it's a kind of bifurcation in my mind of the importance of this whole project. Because it's really all banks are, is their safe store of your money and they reset your password. Like, that is what they do. And so if we don't recreate that function, like I think that might as well give up.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. Thanks, Richard. I think there is definitely a lot that needs to be done, and I think you are making great progress in moving the whole wallet space and the whole interface space that people use to interact with blockchain. Yeah, thanks a lot for taking the time out.
Dude, thank you for taking the time to talk. Really appreciate it. And thanks for all the hard work you're doing.